Humans. Yeah. I'm the herald of the gods. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And welcome back to the Culture Gods channel. It's your boy Mike Nix. Hey man, I just got done watching Don't Move, man. Really good movie on Netflix. Man, I made a lot of noise. Really good movie on Netflix. Starring Kelsey, I hope I get this name right, Asbiel, as a woman named Iris. She's the lead character in there, and Finn Wittrock. And basically, quick rundown, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the movie, go watch the movie, then come back and check me out. But Finn Wittrock plays Richard, and basically the story begins with basically Iris lost her son, and she's feeling really bad about it. They were on a camping trip, and she took her eyes off her son for a split second. He went to go collect some sticks. He ends up dead. I think he fell off the edge of a cliff. And so the story begins with her at the beginning of this cliff, or at the edge of this cliff here at the beginning of the movie. And Richard pulls up on her, and I guess he's basically talking to her to kind of talk her off the ledge, you know what I'm saying? Because she's about to jump off the cliff. She feels so bad about losing her son that she's feeling suicidal. She's depressed. She's just like, enough is enough. Which I can understand as a parent, losing a child is, you can't even imagine something like that. You can't imagine how you can go on, right? So anyway, he talks off the ledge, and next thing you know, boom, he tricks her, and now he's got it. So he's basically a serial killer. And it doesn't really go into a backstory. He kind of tells his story a little bit about, I guess, an ex that died in a car crash or something, and that kind of fucked him up for life. But he ends up entrapping her, and he injects her with this Iris. Anyway, he injects Iris with this agent, this drug that basically paralyzes your whole body, which is why the movie's called Don't Move. And she can't move. In this movie, before we even get into that, I'll just kind of break it down. But he paralyzes her, and then he ends up trying to get her back to this cabin, or where his because they're in the deep woods in the mountains somewhere, and he's trying to get her back there. But she kind of escapes from him. She gets away, and then all kind of bullshit happens after that. So she gets away. She runs off into the woods. She goes down a river. It's a little stream or whatever. She ends up in an old man's doorstep. He takes her in, and the movie's kind of dope because I love movies that play on a POV to terrify you. So this is more of like I would say a horror, but more of like a suspense thriller type of movie. Less horror, more suspense thriller. You know what I'm saying? I felt like in the spirit of Halloween, I would bring this to you. It's kind of a scary situation to be in. Imagine your body, you are paralyzed. You cannot move. The only thing she could move was her eyes. She could blink and she could look around, and that was pretty much it. But she keeps coming across people. It's like she gets these situations where you feel like she's about to be rescued, but she can't move, she can't talk, she can't say anything, she can't scream, she can't do anything. And people will come up to her, or like there's a point where she's at a gas station, and there's people kind of pulling up, taking pictures, selfies, off to the side here. A little kid walks up to the window, and a lady comes over, and she can't say a fucking word. She can just look at them, crazy. Then she gets rescued by an old man who takes her in, who finds her laying down in the woods because she can't move. And, he almost helped her get away, and Richard finds him, burns the whole shit down, and then he recaptures her, rekidnaps her basically. So he kidnaps her, takes her out there, and it turns out, he has a whole family and shit. And this is the point where a light bulb went off for me. So I watch a lot of true crime docu-series shit on Netflix, on YouTube. I watch Mr. Ballin religiously. So I kind of get my stories kind of mixed up a little bit, but I swear there is an episode of, I want to say it's called The Worst Ex Ever, I think, on Netflix. And there's a story about a guy, a girl finds her girlfriend beat up and bloody and dead in the bathroom from the guy she was dating. Turns out this guy has been on a murderous crime spree for years. I think through Las Vegas and some other little places. And I think he like at one point he had a girlfriend, but was traveling around and finding other girls to like date, have sex with, and then kill them and then go back to it. Was wild. And this kind of gave me that vibe. Like my man had a whole conversation with his wife on the phone and his daughter while Iris is over here paralyzed in the passenger seat. He's driving, just having a casual conversation. And then the wife is like, hey, you know, I was going to come up and visit you. And then he's like, nah, it's not a good, you know, I need my time away. You know, this is healthy for the relationship for me to have my me time. You know, as a man, I understand that, you know what I'm saying? You need your alone time. But she's like, nah, bro, like you do this every weekend. Like this, seemed to be like a real constant thing with you, with a pattern. Like you want more and more of your personal space to get healthy for the relationship. You know, every once in a while it's cool, but you're doing this a little more often lately, man. Nah, we coming up, we pulling up, basically is what she told on the phone. You know what I'm saying? So he's getting all nervous and anxious and shit. And in that moment, I was like, I wonder if they took inspiration from that real life serial killer story off of Netflix, because that's basically what that guy was doing. He was going off on these, you know, into the woods and these little cabin retreats and different states and stuff. Meanwhile, he had a whole girlfriend at home. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the story that I'm thinking of. It could be, maybe it's one Mr. Ballin talked about and I'm just mixing the two together. But anyway, eventually in the end, I won't go too much into detail, but she ends up, you know, on the river in a boat, and there's a scenario where the drug starts to wear off, and she ends up finally but she finally gets away from Richard, and that's the end. What I loved about this movie is what I love about the direction, the way the director did the visuals, and not just the visuals, but putting you in a scenario of Iris. Basically, she's drugged, she can't move anything, and she's been kidnapped. She's in the possession of this man who is psycho. She doesn't know what he's gonna do to her. He hasn't killed her yet. He hasn't even really hurt her. He just, you know, knocked her out, filled her with these drugs, injected her with the drug, and it's basically a cat and mouse game at that point. And somehow, with her even being paralyzed, she manages to get into these situations in and out, and he has to keep trying to chase her and get her back. But the way that they, you know, the cinematography of the movie and the way that they gave you the POV of Iris, I thought was kind of dope. It gave you a feeling of like, of this eeriness of like, you know, you can almost feel like you want her to move a muscle. Like you just want her to move, just say something loud enough so somebody to hear. It gives you that suspense, you know what I'm saying? And I love that aspect of this movie, because it could have been a boring ass movie for real. But I think if you check it out, you might like it. Get down in the comment sections. Tell me what you thought about it. I thought it was a really good take on kind of the cat and mouse serial killer suspense thing. It wasn't just straight up gore, blood, stabbing. There was, you know, the guy Richard, the serial killer, he was kind of quirky, and even mentions in a moment where he has to kill somebody, where he says that he's never killed a man before. And I first took it as he's never killed before. He's a serial killer, but is this his first time kidnapping somebody and drugging them, or he never killed a man before? You know, I was thrown off by that part, but he had no problem doing the other shit that he did in the movie and kidnapping her and taking her out in the middle of the river at some point to do whatever it is he was going to do. So it looks like he has a history of this shit. But anyway, I thought it was a really dope movie. Like I said, in the spirit of Halloween, brought you something kind of spooky, kind of scary, but not really, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I got to get out of here. I'll see you on the next video. Pull up on me. Do it for the